Happy holidays, everyone.
Fuck you!
Pour yourselves a fresh glass of cough syrup, because it's time for part 2 of the Brainworms holiday special.
Yeah, so I need to make a confession.
We're doing Monster Girl.
Joe, you remember last year when you messaged me and said that someone had, like, with a giant butter knife, spread a watery defecation all over your front porch?
I do.
And you remember how your neighbors also had that same problem?
Yup.
Yeah, I am the Christmas shit goblin.
Are you starting a new holiday tradition for the world?
I'm starting a new tradition, not for the world, just for you and your close neighbors.
Just like my house and the 3 or 4 houses near it.
I mean, there's the point where I run out of poop.
You run out of feces, right?
I'm not a fucking psychopath. I'm not going to save my poop for the next, 2 weeks, all right? I'm not going to do that.
Wait, does that mean that, wherever Joe moves to, he's going to have to knock on his neighbor's doors and say, "Hi, I'm required by law to tell you that I'm being followed by a shit goblin in every holiday."
Every Christmas Eve.
I don't think you have to do that.
Not legally.
Yeah,
They'll make a law for it.
I don't think they will. All right.
We need that jurisdiction.
Yeah, so Christmas shit goblin.
Right.
I would like to actually encourage other people to be your own neighborhood's Christmas shit goblin.
Are you trying to make this a viral thing that the world does?
No, I don't like viruses, all right?
It's true. We don't like that word so much in the...
Viruses make people sick. This will just hurt people that like the holidays and be a fun, drunken activity for people that don't.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool.
But you'll want to get some candy canes, right? And make a shape of a candy cane that you could then freeze your urine in. That's the only real gross psychopath prep work you need to do.
Nothing else you do is remotely psychopathic.
Because when you drop the load on the front porch, you stick the piss icicle of candy cane shape. You stick that into the turd, right? And then it's on the homeowner at that point.
Right.
If they get out there before the candy cane melts, then there's a semi-solid turd that they could just clean up and go about their business. That crazy shit goblin, But if they wait and they get out there too late, then that's why it looks like somebody took a butter knife of an enormous size and just spread watery feces all over the...
Okay, so I have to remark that I greatly admire your bowel diligence. Because once I start pooping, I'm kind of I'm committed. So the fact that you can start, stop, and then do a task, and do that several times, I think that's remarkable.
Look, if you want to spread the holiday joy to more than just one house, you're going to have to tighten it up, You drop out one, put the candy cane in there. I don't do multiple candy canes, that's gross, right?
Right.
I just do the one, right? And that's just for Joe.
To do multiple candy canes and your shit goblin.
Yeah, it's just for Joe. So the person that you want to poop on the most, you want to give the holiday cheer the most to, that's the person that gets the PP candy cane, right?
Right.
Everybody else just gets a turd.
Have you considered going festive on it? Getting some glitter from the craft store and sprinkling it on the shit to make it more...
No, that seems inauthentic. If I was going to do that, I would just eat a bunch of glitter.
Oh, sure.
The night before.
It's worked in, right.
That way it's good and stirred up in the batter, you know what I mean?
Right.
God, you know what would be really crazy? A shitter glitter mine.
What?
You eat a explosive material that has a glitter bomb attached to it, and you poop it out so it's encased in shit, and it's rigged on a detonator, and you leave it on someone's porch, and right when they touch it, the lightest touch, pow! There's glitter and poop everywhere.
How do you do that? Why wouldn't you just fold your poop around the
Because it needs to be passed off as a basic turd. Otherwise, they'll know something's up.
Just like the guy that fake hit a glitter bomb and these people keep stealing my mail and this glitter bomb's gonna go off, and it turns out they had staged the whole thing.
I don't care about this at all.
Yeah, that's valid.
We're reading more of that stupid fucking book.
Yeah, we're reading more The Human Santapede. It's going to be disappointing for everyone involved.
Don't read this book.
Why are we going back to this?
Because Joe commits, all right? When he gets an idea, he fucking commits to it, even if it's a dumb idea.
Wait,
That's why we've been doing this for like almost
Shut up,
2 years
Joe.
now.
Quit
Wait,
making excuses for yourself.
Joe,
all right?
so like you can't wait to get back to the all important "we're not Mexicans" joke commentary?
Yeah, well,
What did you think was gonna happen?
Yeah, I'm starting to think that we're gonna need to screen these books that Joe chooses. Like Joe's gonna need to start sending us his picks before we read them, so that we can go through it a little bit, make sure it's not gonna be like rapey or racist.
that has happened more than I'd like it to.
Welcome to the world of self-publishing.
It's true.
Are there not weirdos that got published by actual publishing houses that wouldn't allow blatant racism?
They're arcane. Their names are. Oh God!
Is it Simon and Schuster's? Is that
Simon and Garfunkel.
maybe we should just stop this podcast? Maybe that's what the problem is.
That would probably help society.
All right, so we're doing more of the human Santapede.
Yeah.
I don't want to. Can we just? I'll put that on the table. I don't want to.
Yeah, David is thawing now. In just a moment, he'll be good and heated up, and we'll be ready to read the book.
All right, the human Santapede. Is David's thawed out yet?
Very nearly. Probably by the time that I remind the listeners to go to WeGiveYouBrainworms.com, he'll be ready
If you have
go.
to.
It's very bizarre though, because I figured he'd be thawed out sooner. I did research for thawing him out, so I got a bunch of hair dryers in there, like from Encino Man.
That's a deep cut.
Wait, you watched Encino Man as a way to thaw a frozen person out?
Yeah, it worked.
How the fuck did you guys create me?
Just got lucky. Just infinite typewriters.
Well, before we started, we watched Weird Science.
Wait. You created the horrific thing that I used to be using the science of weird science?
No, that was the foundation. That was the thesis. We then went on to Society for more inspiration.
Okay, that makes more sense.
There was a little bit of Reanimator in there.
Okay.
Yeah, we watched Chud, but we didn't learn much from it.
All right, I'm fucking leaving. I'm done. I'm not listening.
No,
to
no,
this
no, you
book.
have to
I'm not listening to
Stay
this book.
and
I'm going into the furnace. I don't have to do that.
You kind of do, actually.
yeah,
What?
you actually do. Like there's a whole system.
God damn it.
It's cute when he thinks he has autonomy.
But yeah, go to our dumb website.
Made by dumb people.
You can support all this with your money.
You can support my crack meth addiction.
That's not a real thing.
I'm hip with what the kids are into these days. It's crack meth, right?
The kids aren't doing crack and meth aren't hip kid what? Why are you like this? You can invest in our new cryptocurrency piss coin. It's really taken off.
Get them while they're cold.
We're very stupid.
Invest in our currency and get the piss taken out of you.
Get in on the ground level of that. David's about ready to thaw out, so let's fucking do the thing.
World War III was rumored to have been abandoned over a nice cup of tea and a wedge of Battenberg. Option 2 was to do what the intruder said, but Jimbo wasn't keen on the idea of willingly getting into the sack since nothing good could possibly come of it.
Can't stop World War III without a good cheese grommet.
Oh god, can we please get the Wallace and Gromit solve world politics?
Okay. Yeah, sure.
I just want to see that happen.
I mean, me too.
Yeah, seems good.
He was hardly going to be whipped off to some sun-kissed island for a fortnight of mojitos and all-you-can-eat teppanyaki. Jimbo didn't realize he'd already set option 3 into effect until he was running for the bedroom. "There's nowhere to hide," the deep, gruff voice hissed from behind him. "Nowhere to run." "Sissy," Jimbo said, arriving at the marital bed. "I found the thing that went clunk." Dread washed over him as he realized his wife was no longer cowering beneath the covers. She was gone, kaput, as if consumed by the mattress.
Did you guys know that kaput is German for broken?
I did
I
not.
did not know that.
If my friend Mark listens to this, he'll know. He taught me that.
Nobody listens to this.
Yeah.
It was an odd thing for a mattress to do, unless it's deathbed, the bed that eats people. It was an odd thing for a mattress to do, but this was the land of Christmas, where anything was possible. Don't make this any harder than it has to be, the dark figure said, stepping in through the bedroom door, which was far too small for such a colossal being. And yet it fit anyway, as if its bones contracted and disconnected on one side of the frame and recoupled on the other. It was a rather disturbing thing to watch, like one of those jihadi beheading videos or a Miley Cyrus concert.
That's a weird equivalency to make, but sure.
Yeah, it's just shitting on Miley. It was 2014. So.
Oh, sure. Yeah. That joke is definitely of its time.
Yep.
I'm going to go ahead and guess that this author, they've got some views about modern culture and society.
Mm-hmm. Dumb sheep listening to pop music.
How dare they enjoy things?
As the world slowly burns down.
Right. Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. Overall, culture has sort of been a race to the bottom for the last 50, 60 years or so, I would say.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you make your popular culture just homogenous.
Sure.
I think deeper than that is when you base the value of your culture on its money value.
Mm.
Sure. Yeah, it has to appeal to the most number of people, which automatically means that it's going to attempt to appeal to the lowest common denominator.
Right.
Which
will make it the least interesting.
Means that, yeah, it's basically pablum.
Right.
Now, that being said, I unironically enjoy Miley Cyrus.
Yeah, and that's, something I've genuinely tried to work on in my later years is let people enjoy things,
Sure.
It's hard not to be an elitist shitbag sometimes.
Especially when you're just better than most people.
But it doesn't make anyone's experience better to be like, your thing sucks. Meh.
I've spent the last 5 or 6 years or so working very diligently to undo the damage that I did as a gatekeeping asshole.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, let people enjoy things.
Exactly.
Because, what is the real difference here? Because I think what this author is really trying to strike on is what we're talking about, but its execution's poor. So I think the difference is you can say that Miley Cyrus sucks. It doesn't really communicate much. But when you say that, this is what's happening in modern culture, X, Y, and Z, and here's why I think it's bad, that's making a point. You're communicating information, and so
sure.
I think that's the real difference.
Yeah, I don't know. I assume this was just one of those one-off edgelord jokes.
Right.
I not to derail too much, but I read an interesting article the other day.
Yeah, don't derail this podcast.
God, I couldn't possibly. But interesting article by a guy who was talking about his struggle with trying to disentangle himself and make up for all the damage that he did by just being a white guy who specifically was participating in that sort of really edgelord, we're going to push the edge and do jokes about things that, because we know they're jokes. We know we're joking about, rape and racism and all of these other horrible things. But the problem is that the rest of the world isn't in on the joke, and it actually does cause harm.
Right. The South Park School of Humor.
Right. Which, would be something that could work in a world that was actually free of any of those sorts of issues.
Exactly, yeah.
But wouldn't work because it wouldn't be funny if you didn't have those kinds of issues.
Right. And yeah, I think that school of comedy did a lot of damage to culture.
Yeah, I agree. I was a big proponent of that kind of thing myself for a long time. But from the same sort of impulse, you think that we're past all that and it's okay to joke about it because we know we're just kidding.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a brainworm.
Yeah.
It's funny how just having a sack gives you so many nefarious points. Like going for a walk, but you're carrying a sack and people are like, what's that guy doing?
Right.
Or you're hanging out in a park, but you have a sack and people are like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that is a sack, just a big bag, even a garbage bag. As an accessory, does come with a lot of weight.
Kaine's back.
Hey, Kaine's back.
I'm back.
Where'd you go?
I mean, I didn't go anywhere.
I've been reading this book for a while, and you just disappeared. What happened?
Well, I heard something.
Oh, yeah?
And went to investigate. and then I ate it.
Was it a fat bastard?
You know, I don't think it's appropriate to describe a person that way. I'm going to say that they definitely had a lot of body mass.
Was it wearing red or were you seeing red?
Both, I think. I'm assuming. I don't know. It was so this is the way I would describe it is I reacted the way that a snake reacts when food is put in front of it. And I just bit and constricted and ate. But I have been coughing up.
iPads?
No. Shut up, Chris. I'm telling a story. I don't need your input. All right.
I just want to be included.
I've been coughing up like reddish cotton, but I can't tell if it's like blood or if it was like cotton fabric. I've also spit up what it looks like 2 nipple rings. I don't know what's going on there. And everything kind of tastes like peppermint right now.
I guess we'll
Can
never
we
know.
put in Kaine's patch notes that to add an unhingeable jaw? That way we can act like if
That benefits no one.
I agree. I think this is a great idea, Chris.
if we have that and Kaine eats something important, that means he won't have to chew it and we can just dissect him later and remove it.
Oh, yeah.
I think this is a good idea.
Okay. All right.
Please don't kill me, Jimbo said, climbing onto the bed. It was probably not the best move, considering the thing had just devoured his wife. I'm just an elf, and not even a good one at that. Oh, you're not going to die, the beastly thing said. You're going to evolve. Frowning, Jimbo said, but evolution takes place over the course of centuries with minute changes occurring in each generation.
Science facts.
Yes, awfully tedious process, isn't it? The figure said. So hop in the sack and we can get the show on the road. Jimbo wasn't certain, but he thought he saw a smile beneath its dark hood. Jimbo sighed and lowered himself down over the edge of the bed. As long as there's no death involved, he said. He skulked across the room and was about to leap into the intruder's wide-open sack when he saw her above the door, hanging there like some tiny superhero. Sissy. The bed hadn't swallowed her after all, which was great news, since beds were so damn expensive to replace. Hi-ya! Sissy said, bringing her hand down into a chop as she leapt from the wall.
Oh, this would be infinitely improved if Miss Piggy showed up.
Right?
Yeah, I can see that. The Muppet version of this book is going to be wild.
Get into the sack.
Unfortunately, she hadn't had much practice with home invasions, and the intruder was just so damn big. She bounced off his shoulder, rolled down his arm, and landed, upside down, in the sack. Jimbo shrugged and smiled sheepishly. Don't worry, Sissy, he said. I'm coming too. And with that, he climbed headfirst into the sack. 2 pairs of legs kicked and thrashed as the sack's drawstrings sealed them in. The figure grinned, for he had his first elves. The ghastly creation was underway, or would be once he got this pair back to his lair. He laughed, and coughed a little, before laughing some more.
That's how I do when I do something evil.
Yeah, it's really pretty much the standard, I think.
It's like the Invader Zim, like laugh and then cough and then laugh.
4. This is a public service announcement from the Santa Claus. All elves are to report to the workshop this morning. Failure to report will result in loss of job, loss of house, loss of pension, loss of respect, and loss of tenure in the land of Christmas. The blizzard is over, people. It's time to get back to work. Finklefoot and Trixie arrived at the workshop early, and yet not as early as some of the others who were already settling down at their stations with mugs of steaming eggnog.
Hot eggnog sounds fucking gross.
Yeah,
Eggnog in general sounds gross.
I like eggnog okay.
I can get down on some cronog.
Ugh, don't know. That's
It sounds like a good way to get real vomity.
no, it's just a good way to get real drunk. See, here's the worst part about Cronog.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Mm.
Oh, yeah.
Like your brain tells you no, right? Like you hear crow. What is old crow and eggnog? No, wait, that's disgusting. And you're wrong. Cronog is really good, and you just keep drinking it.
It takes 2 things that don't taste good if you drink them apart and makes them good.
Okay.
Although I would argue that sipping Old Crow is delicious.
Kaine, do you also do the same thing that I do where, like, if you put a drink that has alcohol in it that tastes like sugary or sweet or like a soda that, like, you're done for?
No.
It just gives me a hangover the next day, like a really bad one.
Yeah, I just feel gross the next day.
Mm-hmm.
I need my stuff to have a bitter element or to be really watered down, or else bad things happen.
Mixing dairy and liquor tends to make me throw up.
It's a terrible idea.
Yeah.
You just shouldn't do it.
Yep.
So now we know that there's just no car bombs for you, huh?
Yeah.
I don't know. You gotta actually drink it down, though. You don't want to look at it.
Right. Because of the consistency.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
curdling really just puts me off.
It's bad.
Conveyor belts were already moving, shifting partially completed toys from one section to another. On the radio, an elfish version of Ding Dong Merrily on High played on loop, and would continue to play until someone decided to change the tape. It seemed everyone was eager to get back to work, eager to gain back the 72 hours they'd lost, eager to put Christmas back on schedule. "I'll see you in 12 hours, Trixie said, kissing her husband tenderly on the cheek.
Do you think Elfish in this is the same as in Lord of the Rings?
I hope so.
Yeah, me too.
It'd be great if Lady Galadriel showed up and schooled Krampus.
Fights Krampus.
I would actually pay to see that.
Right? God, where are you on that one, Disney's What If?
So much wrong with all that. It's just so much.
Yeah.
A couple of his gang watching from across the room began to laugh, but Finklefoot didn't care. They could go fuck themselves. When he reached his section, Finklefoot began assigning the shift's jobs. "Rat, I want you on heads, arms, and legs. Nothing gets past you with appendages missing. If there are any dolls or teddies in the reject bin at the end of this shift, I'll make it my personal goal to convince the fat bastard that a career in human Hollywood is all you're cut out for." "Yes, boss," Rat said, snapping his feet together and saluting Finklefoot.
Do you think that by now their colloquial usage of that would just be like, you better get it right or you're Hollywood?
I like that.
You're
Yeah.
Hollywood.
You're Hollywood.
Yeah.
I'm going to start using that.
And it's a double entendre because Hollywood.
If she could. "Yes, boss," Rat said, snapping his feet together and saluting Finklefoot. "Shart," Finklefoot said, turning to an elf that had a face only a mother could love. "You're on batteries. What's the most important rule about batteries?" Shart grinned. "I'm to remove them from every third box, thus making it a nightmare for some parents on Christmas morning."
I like that.
I'm of two minds on the existence of an elf named Shart.
Yeah.
It's just such a crass joke.
Mm-hmm. It sounds like the name of like a punk henchman in an 80s action movie.
Yeah, or like back in the 80s when you could have a friend, a character whose name was Boner.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I could see Boner and Shart being...
The Adventures of Boner and Shark.
Can we please get that show? Please.
Yeah, but it has to be called
Boner and
Sharp
Shart.
Boners.
No,
No, Sharp Boners.
Boner and
Sharp
Shart.
Boner.
No, Boner and
Boner and
Shart.
Shart sounds better.
A special Christmas episode.
Imagine if there was a magic spell that would make you shit out your penis.
No.
I don't want to imagine that. Get the fuck out.
Yeah, not gonna.
Finklefoot nodded. "Gizzo, you'll be on wood construction with me.
Would.
We've got 3 million plywood cars and planes to put together this morning and another 8 million this afternoon. You up to the job?" Gizzo pulled a screwdriver from the pocket on the front of his green dungarees. "I feel the need," he said. "The need for speed." Quite where he'd got such a silly line from, Finklefoot didn't know. "Right," the foreman said. "That blizzard has royally fucked us over, and it's going to take a miracle to get back on track. Not a miracle per se, just a lot of elbow grease and as few interruptions as possible." "Finklefoot," a voice said. It was a beautiful voice, and one with which he was very familiar.
Uh-oh.
He glanced up to see Mrs.
Oh, here
Claus
she
leaning
comes.
sumptuously
Watch out
over the
for
railing
she'll
above.
cheer you
Does
on.
one lean sumptuously?
You lean forward with your tits hanging out.
Ah, okay.
I think that's pretty much it, yeah.
Sure.
Her long red hair tucked behind her ears. She'd gone to town on her makeup, and it didn't take a genius to figure out why. The last 3 days must have been hell for her, what with being marooned with the fat bastard and the lack of elf cock. "Santa would like to have a word with you." And with that, she was gone. On the workshop floor, 1,000 male elves adjusted their erections to a less painful position. Whore, Finklefoot said. She knows exactly what she's doing. I like her, Gizzo said. She does this thing with her mouth. Kind of like a suck but a blow at the same time, and it... Exclamation point, Finklefoot said, cutting the elf off mid-sentence.
Sure.
It's literally just an exclamation point in parentheses.
Weird. Okay.
This is way less fun than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, Kaine almost makes Monster Girls Christmas Vampire seem like
I'm
a
not
much
sure
more
if that would've
choosable
been
option
better.
now, doesn't it?
Yeah, I don't know if that's accurate.
It might have been.
Dude,
but
dude,
I'm not as confident that you are.
look. Anime content is a weird incestuous relationship between the consumers and the producers where they are both trying to, like, they both degrade each other as they go, so there's weird genetic offshoots.
I feel like
Yeah,
you're
but
saying
this is
more
like
about
slash
yourself
fanfic.
than anything else.
Yeah, that's what I think is happening too.
I'm sorry, you're gonna need to speak one at a time. Form a line when criticizing me, please.
No, I kind of like the jumble.
We're going to form a human Santapede.
Oh, God.
I feel like you're saying more about yourself with what you just said than media.
Joe, you've seen, like, anime garbage.
I'm a little disappointed that we haven't just skipped to the human centipede part.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that may have been advisable. I thought it was gonna happen way sooner.
We're on chapter 4 and nobody's mouth's been sewn to somebody's butthole.
I mean, we've already got the kidnapping happening.
Yeah.
We're well on path here.
And again, it's a
That's,
short novel. The chapters themselves aren't that long. So, I don't know.
Ah, Finklefoot, my good elf, Santa said as Finklefoot stepped into his office. How good to see you. My, how you've changed. Have you put on height? The fat bastard poured himself a large brandy. Something about the way he moved across the office, glass in hand, told Finklefoot it wasn't his first of the morning. Over in the corner, Mrs. Claus threw herself around a pole. Finklefoot couldn't help but notice that one of her breasts had fallen out. On purpose? I'd offer you a drink, Santa said, but you've got a lot of work to get through today, and the last thing we need is something terrible happening to our most productive elf.
I want you to fuck my wife while I watch. Ho, ho,
Finklefoot
ho.
felt something akin to pride wash over him. He was, and had been, the most productive elf for nigh on 200 years. In any other profession, that would have been rewarded with a handsome pay rise or even a promotion.
Pay rises, huh?
But being one of Santa's elves was like being an elephant masturbator. A lot of hard work with very little in the way of benefits.
Okay, sure.
Wait, what?
What a great metaphor.
Yeah.
Hang on, elephant master. Like, is that for the purpose of artificial insemination, or is that just,
Yeah.
or the alternative is just like you just hire someone, like a zoo is just like, what if we just hired someone to give the elephants hand jobs because we can?
Huh.
Look, there are really only two purposes I can think of for elephant masturbator. Either artificial insemination or early on in circuses when they wanted to make sure that the elephants were docile.
Oh, yeah.
Is that a thing?
I don't know. I'm a little afraid of the concept.
Elephants are very temperamental, not in like a bratty child way, but like they need freedom.
Yeah.
Because they're
Yeah.
giant wild animals.
And also incredibly intelligent.
Right.
Yes. David, are they on par or do they exceed dogs?
I'd say, I mean, that depends. Intelligence is a weird thing.
Yeah. And the way that we understand intelligence is very human-centric to start with.
Yes. Which we are starting to move away from.
Right. Yeah. I would say they're as intelligent as elephants.
Good
Right.
answer.
What's this about, sir? Finklefoot said. I've got a lot of work to be getting on with, and he trailed off, suddenly mesmerized by the stripping Mrs. Claus in the corner of the room. Well, Santa said, sipping at his brandy, I was just wondering if you and your gang would like to put in a few extra shifts, say 12 of them, you know, just to get things back on track? Finklefoot grimaced. 12 extra shifts, he said, on top of what we're already doing? That's right, Santa said, to catch up, so to speak. But that would mean working solidly around the clock until Christmas Eve, Finklefoot frowned. Santa laughed like the jolly fat bastard he was. Oh yes, you're right. He took another long slug from his glass. Finklefoot watched as the brandy soaked into his boss's silver beard. It's either that or we'll have to ship in some Polish elves, and I know how you all feel about that.
What the fuck?
They're very good
Yeah,
at not stealing
it's-
paper clips, Finkelfoot said.
Basically, Polish elves equals
Yeah,
outsourcing.
Santa's an evil capitalist in this.
I've heard that too, Santa said with a nod and a smile. So what do you say? Care to pull us out the shit just this once? Just this once? Just this fucking once? It wasn't just this once. It was every year. Every year something went wrong. Every year someone fell into the poster paint vat. Every damn year some fool accidentally put the voice of Osama bin Laden in the Tickle Me Elmos. Last year,
I want
Rudolph
that.
had been unable
I want that as a toy.
Yeah, me too,
just for
actually.
me.
That would be, that would be easy enough to do.
Yeah.
I don't want that at all.
Be an interesting art project.
It would only be, like, valuable for, like, you use it a few times, and then you're done with it. But just for the image.
It would be an art project, is what it is. That's an art piece. Whether or not it's a good art piece is questionable, but that's what it would become.
Sure.
Actually, and see, to make it high art, you give Osama bin Laden's voice to a banana.
Yeah, and then tape it to a wall.
See what you did there.
Last year, Rudolph had been unable to pull the sleigh after the other reindeer had deemed him worthy of a jolly good buggering. It was always something, and this year was no different. We'll do it, Finkelfoot said. What choice did he have? If it wasn't his gang working overtime, it would be someone else's. At least this way it would be in his hands. He would save Christmas, as he always did, on his own terms.
Or you could kill Santa Claus.
Yeah.
We kill the fat man.
Santa gets the guillotine.
It took me a second, but that was great. I like that a lot, David.
Thanks. Marvelous, Santa said, patting Finkelfoot on the top of his head. I knew I could rely on you to make this right. Behind her husband's back, Mrs. Claus twisted her exposed nipple and licked her lips. Finkelfoot crossed his legs and said, There will be conditions. Santa, who had been refilling his glass at the Christmas light-adorned bar, turned and frowned. My little fellow, you're hardly in any position to barter. I thought I made myself perfectly clear. Make the toys, or star in the next George Lucas blockbuster. Poor Whizzle, Finkelfoot thought. He must have been a little ball of sweat wearing that insidious Ewok suit.
The next George Lucas blockbuster. Now I know this is fiction.
Also, that's, to me, I get where it's coming from, but this is the bit that takes me out of it. Because the elves are centuries old.
Sure.
But the only threat there is they get banished to Hollywood.
Right.
What was the threat?
Before there was Hollywood.
This is not the point to focus on.
I mean, there was probably still just, we're going to exile you into the human world.
Right, yeah, and then at that point you just became like a jester or something.
Yeah.
Just real quick to clarify, what I meant by that is the book should not focus on this. Touch and go, get to the fucking Krampus wizard thing.
Also, I'm just going to say I'm not super thrilled about the idea that all elves, apparently just little people are, in this book's opinion, all just elves who have been banished from the North Pole.
Yeah, that's kind of icky.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's...
Again, and this is kind of what I mean by touch and go. Like, if it was just a single comment...
But they keep bringing it back.
Yeah, before we get to the Santapede, but it's like, yeah, we're dwelling on it.
Right.
Poor Whizzle, Finkelfoot thought. He must have been a little ball of sweat wearing that insidious Ewok suit.
I kind of want to put Chris in an Ewok suit.
Same.
Yeah.
Chris probably wants to go into an Ewok suit.
I behave weird when I'm in costume.
I'm just leaving that alone.
Talking about my high school play,
I
jackass.
don't believe
Yeah,
it.
let's finish this book so that
Yeah, sure.
we can stop.
We both know that those rules don't apply to me, he said, hoping that he was right. I'm what they call in the trade indispensable. Without me, every Christmas would be another Easter. Just a boring thing with cards and chocolate.
And ham.
Santa's lips curled ever so slightly into a sneer. Go on, he said. For the next century, no elf is to be banished to the human world. No more Star Wars, no more Harry Potter, no more Snow White and the Seven Dwarves, and no more body doubling for Tom Cruise. Elves shouldn't
Yeah,
be
'cause
treated
Tom
like
Cruise is
shit.
short.
We're not Mexicans.
Yeah, see, I'm good.
Yeah, this book's a little edgelordy.
Yep.
I'm good.
We
Santa
could be
scowled.
reading Monster Girls right now.
Shut
Just
the
wanna
fuck
sp-
up,
I
Chris.
really hung up on the fact that we didn't read that Monster Girls
None
book.
of these books sounded like great. All right. The best one had a very naughty, you should punish me looking Santa Claus on the front of it with a trail of people attached to his butthole. That seemed like the perfect book. I didn't realize that the author was this much of a douchebag.
Sure.
You didn't realize that we were signing up for a Goth Kids MySpace dialogue?
What?
Monologue?
Goth Kids MySpace. What fucking century are
You
you
don't know
from?
how anything works.
Santa scowled. Now, most people are accustomed to the jolly, red-cheeked version of Santa Claus. Christmas cards wouldn't sell quite as well if they featured the expression that he currently wore.
Or his stripper wife?
That's all very well and good, Santa said. His eyebrows knitted together. But how else will we punish the slackers? You could try not punishing them, Finklefoot said. It was a long shot, but worth a try. 3 lashes with a thorny tree and a force-fed plate of holly, Santa said. And that's my final offer. Finklefoot sighed. 2 lashes and a mince pie with bobble glass in it. Santa smiled. You drive a hard bargain, elf. That's why you're my number 1.
My
Why do I
number
always
one
feel like
guy.
you're number 2?
You are my number 1 guy.
Then I'd better get to work.
What, no appreciation for my impeccable Jack Palance fucking...
It was a pretty good Jack Palance.
Yeah.
That's good. I admit. He turned and headed for the door, unsure how the rest of his gang were going to take the news. Just before he reached the door, though, it flew open, and there stood Ahura, the forelady of the jigsaw puzzle section. She looked horrified, as if she'd only just realized she was an elf after years of believing she was human. In the corner, Mrs. Claus threw a hand over her exposed nipple. As much as she loved elves, she wasn't of that persuasion. There will be a very good reason as to why you've banged into my office unannounced, Santa said, crushing a glittery purple ball in his giant hand and allowing the tiny shards to fall through his grasp and sprinkle onto the floor. Terrible news, Ahura squeaked. Sissy and Jimbo haven't turned up for their shift.
Do it squeakier.
Oh, this is awful. They were on cutting duty. Without them,
God
we're
damn
just
it.
making cardboard pictures. Santa rolled his eyes. Remind me again, he said. Which ones are Sissy and Jimbo? Small people, Finklefoot said. Pointy ears. Wear a lot of red and green? He was, of course, being sarcastic, but the fat bastard didn't seem to notice. Ah, yes. Jimbo and, Sissy. Small. Pointy ears. Yes. He sipped thoughtfully at his brandy while Ahura skipped nervously from one foot to the other in the doorframe. I will have to arrange for someone to pay them a visit, make sure they're aware that we're back at full steam today. Finklefoot edged slowly toward the door. Finklefoot, Santa said, so suddenly that Mrs. Claus almost fell off her pole. Be a good chap and pay a visit to the missing couple before you begin your tremendously tiring shift. Take a thorny tree with you just in case.
Is anyone else's patience running thin with this book?
Yeah, I'm getting kind of bored. I'm mostly having fun with our conversation about the book more than I actually am having fun with the book.
Finklefoot thought about arguing, but it would be futile. Besides, the walk would do him good. Clear his head, so to speak, before embarking on the mother of all shifts. The absent pair had probably just overslept. Yes, that's all it was. Lazy bastards. Always something, Finklefoot thought as he pushed past Ahura and headed out onto the steel mezzanine. Always fucking something.
Is that the end of the chapter?
That's the end of the chapter.
All right.
I think we should just
Yeah,
call it.
I'm done with this book. It may or may not get more interesting deeper in, but I don't care.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to.
How many pages was this, David?
It doesn't have page numbers, but that's 16% of the book done.
I don't really know where the book is going with it, but for a book whose, like, the real selling point is the one thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not
sure
hooked.
is taking an awful lot to get to the
Yeah,
hook.
I can't help but wonder if that's by design.
What else would there be, though? Like, what is there after... Okay, so I'm honestly surprised it started as soon as it did, if I'm being honest, because what is there beyond we've sewed mouths to assholes, but in Christmas land?
Right.
Well, I mean, that's the thing, though. Like, that's what we're here for, right? I didn't show up to this party to, hear about how much Santa deserves to have people's mouths sewed to his butthole, or like how awful of a person he is. That's not what I wanted. What I wanted is I wanted it to be almost like a gritty journalistic approach, right?
Sure.
Like, I wanted it to be kind of like Santa describes what life was like having the population of the North Pole sewn to his butthole.
And also, in terms of shock value books, I was immediately way more hooked with Santa Steps Out.
Yep.
Just from how quickly Santa was humanized and relatable. I liked Santa, and I related
Sure.
to his plight and his struggle, and I wanted to see how he dealt with it and like what happens. I wanted to see him figure it out.
Like filling out the Tooth Fairy like an application.
Yeah, and unlikable characters can be fun. There's tons of media with deeply unpleasant characters.
Right.
But you have to make those characters interesting either because of or in spite of the fact that they're shitty.
Or you have a human element somewhere
Right.
around that the reader can attach to.
And this book did none of that. It was just
No.
It was just a capitalism simulator, and
And the guy said edgy things that were kind of offensive.
Isn't it crazy that Santa says shit and he's married to a
That's
pole
not
dancer?
what I was talking about. No, none of that matters.
what I'm coming to discover reading, as we read kind of like the bizarro genre for this podcast, is it's kind of an edgelord minefield a lot of the time.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, it makes
we're
sense.
reading things that were published, like, I'm going to go ahead and say that none of this would have even tripped our collective radars as offensive in the least if we had read it in 2014.
Maybe.
Disagree.
I knew you in 2014.
The Mexican comment, you're telling me that wouldn't have been like, whoa, what's going on?
Well, I mean, and I'm not defending that line. I'm trying not to devil's advocate.
But the point of that line is to draw attention to the mistreatment.
Because that guy is a shitbag factory foreman. And that's exactly the kind of thing a shitbag factory foreman would think.
Right.
You're not wrong. And you're probably not wrong about me laughing about, or not being offended about shit.
Right. I mean, that was 7 years ago. I feel like the world has grown up a lot. And a lot of this can be dated to 2016 and points after.
Sure.
Because we suddenly realized for very important and valid reasons that a lot of the shit that we used to think was funny just wasn't.
Right. South Park humor.
Yeah. The day of the edgelord is done, I think, really, or at least...
I mean, there's those holdouts.
Sure.
Come on, man. It's just a joke. Can't you take a joke?
Yeah. Those holdouts are still there. Can we just stop calling them edgelords and start calling them shitlords?
Well, I feel like shitlord is a genus. I mean, edgelord is a genus of shitlord. It's a branching family.
Okay.
Of species. So all
for what it's worth, by
edgelords
the
are
way,
shitlords, but not all shitlords
Sure,
are edgelords.
that makes sense. What's up, David?
I was just going to say, for what it's worth, it looks like the Santapeding really kicks in around chapter 8.
Yeah.
So there's not a whole lot more to go before it starts getting into that.
Sure. I mean, we're not doing it today.
No,
Yeah,
we're
I'm
certainly
not-
not
I
doing
don't-
it at all, I
No.
would imagine. But for anybody who's listening to this and is interested,
This novel can be had for 99 cents if you want to know how it ends.
again, it starts at chapter 8 with that, which is not bad in the grand scheme of things.
There's something that I wanted to say that just kind of popped into my head.
Sure.
While I probably wouldn't have been annoyed or offended by some of the dialogue, like some of the prose in this and its depictions of people, in general, I would like to state, because I don't think we clarified that was shitty then too.
Oh, for sure.
Sure.
We just wouldn't have recognized it because we weren't checking our privilege at all.
It was still shitty. We were just also shitty.
Right.
We were shittier. Yeah.
And-
I'm still pretty garbage, but I feel like instead of being like several plates of tuna casserole that have been sitting out for 3 months,
Gross.
I feel like I've turned into the type of garbage that's like candy wrappers and maybe like a Doritos bag
Sure.
that's empty.
And an unhinged jaw.
Like I'm not going to
Don't forget
bring
that.
bugs, but I do. I'm unsightly
For
still.
sure, for sure.
Like that's where I'm at.
The last book you read with the faces, right?
God, it's so boring.
David, you made a comment to me about my severe unwillingness to cooperate with the book. I was pondering over that and wondering why is it that we as people who ingest stories will let something slide, be critical over other things. And I was just mulling it over, and I think that there is an element to storytelling, which is, you can just kind of say the charm. It's not related to the quality or the content, but just how likable
Sure.
it is, or how likable the author is through it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that can go that can go a long way. Like, take this exact content, but give it to a writer that their writing is just charming, or that the way that they write and it's just like
Right.
you like it, and that can completely change the face of a book. I think there is something to be said, like, okay, so like if two people don't like each other, it's not that one of them's bad and the other is good or anything like that. It's just their personalities don't match. I think that goes the same for stories.
Oh, sure.
Sure.
Also, the horror fiction review compared this story to the works of Terry Pratchett, and I don't agree.
I take offense to that.
Yeah,
I straight up take offense to that.
as you should, yeah.
I mean, I don't care for the slut shaming and
Right.
the what from my flipping through appears to be an ongoing running gag about elves not being Mexicans.
Oh, that wasn't a one-off. They just keep that bit
No,
going.
it appears to be a running gag.
Okay, glad we're stopping the book here.
Quoted
Yeah.
at the beginning, if you recall.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
And then Finkelfoot says it when talking to Santa. And then later when we revisit Sissy and...
Finkelfoot.
No.
How could you forget
Jimbo.
Finkelfoot? He's an
Finkelfoot,
important
Jimbo.
character. Could you forget the all-important character of Finkelfoot and Jimbo?
So Jimbo, at one point, when strapped to a table, getting bits of himself attached to Sissy, says that no elves should be treated this way. We're not Mexicans.
Oh, good.
So it's a
just a
running
running
gag.
joke. Okay.
Well, okay, so not even evolving the concept,
Just the same joke.
just the phrase, we're not Mexicans.
Which leads me to believe that the writer thought it was very funny.
Shit, he probably still thinks it's funny.
Sure. Or thought that people reading it would think that it was funny.
Sure.
And admittedly, in the cultural climate of 2014, that joke would have landed.
God, humans are shitty.
When it was just a one-off and it was an unlikable character saying it, I was like, all right, I get it. I see what you're trying to do. But the fact that they keep coming back to it is not great.
Yeah, like, it's funny because sometimes when I say a joke and it doesn't land, as a joke, I'll repeat it in this exact same intonation, like as if no one heard it, and I'm proud of it, because I'm turning myself into the butt
Right.
of the joke to try and elicit a laugh. But this is doing it not with that context.
No, just because it thinks it's funny enough to keep doing.
Or just in a way of trying to indicate that elves are all terrible. I don't know.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, well, this is shit.
Also, it seems like it would be incredibly easy for the elves to revolt and screw over Santa. All you would have to do is just all the elves hate Santa. So then it would be very easy to get them to like, all right, we're going to fabricate reports on our toy progress, and then we're all going to ditch like 5 days before Christmas. Good luck getting all your stuff together, and we're bailing. We're gone.
Yeah, I mean, it seems super simple to think that if people were really upset about the overall working conditions, and,
They could just stop
there were
working.
more of them than there were the bosses, that they could just stop.
Yeah.
And they could do it in a real fucked up way, too. Like, they could do it in a way to where the boss doesn't even realize that shit's awry.
Right.
Like, wait till the very last minute. Make
Right.
sure you've got a nice solid plan with all of your coworkers. There's a lot of solidarity.
Maybe
been built up.
maybe unite in some kind of way.
Yeah, unite in some way and then just stop
Yeah.
working. Like, don't even leave the facility. Be there and maybe even make some signs and just stop working and watch the productivity grind to a halt.
And then see who has the power.
Right.
Yep, I think it's a good idea.
Yep.
That's the Christmas miracle I'm hoping for.
Yup.
If you're looking for shocking Christmas material, do Santa Steps Out, not
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Bah humbug. Fuck your holiday cheer.
Yep.
We're sorry.
Yeah,
for
I gotta do
Christmas.
that call to action again.
Well, just fucking do it. All right.
God damn it. Don't forget to go to WeGiveYouBrainworms.com where you can support us on Patreon and jump into our Funky Fresh Discord and tell us how you're gonna unite the working class. I guess since this is the fucking holiday episode, whatever it is you do or
Bah
you
humbug.
do or don't celebrate, have fun with it.
Enjoy your family if you
If
enjoy
you
them.
do.
And we'll see you people next year.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, I'm assuming at least some of us will see at least some of them.
Look, you know the saying, life comes at you fast?
I do.
Well, death comes at you faster. All right.
That's not true in my experience.
Well, that's because you're not dead yet, David.
Death is taking
I know,
a
that's
painfully
the
long time to
problem.
get here. Yeah. Hurry up, Death. Come on. I'm on a timetable
I'm
here.
gonna push stop.
Please?
This has been a production of Brainworms Podcast. Any copyrighted content contained within is used for purposes of review. Brainworms Podcast is David Combs, Kaine Magdalen, Christian Schaefer, and Joseph Wells. The theme music is Hodgepod No. 1 by Brian Davis. If you like what you heard, you can support us and learn about our other projects at WeGiveYouBrainworms.com or by leaving a review on your favorite listening app.
Get into the sack.
Nobody's mouth and sewn to somebody's butthole?
No sharp boners.
I want you to fuck my wife while I watch. Ho, ho, ho.
Being an elephant masturbator.
You are my number one guy.